How's it going, guys? It's another week and another Destiny 2 video where this week we're going over the Warden of Nothing Grandmaster strike this week, and it is also the last week before Lightfall, which means we have roughly 6 days due to the servers being down on Sunday and Monday, so 5-6 days, something like that, to get yourself a Wendigo grenade launcher. And I highly recommend going for this particular grenade launcher because grenade launchers are getting buffed. So without further ado, a quick word from our sponsors and let's get started. Now, as per my last 6 Grandmaster videos, we're going to go over the loadouts in case you already know how to run this Grandmaster. So for me, I ran the Shadow Shot Deadfall Tether on my Hunter with Orpheus Rigs. I ran Orpheus Rigs simply because I like having my super pretty much anytime I need it, as this will give me at least 50% of it back, which is very helpful. As for weapons, I ran Revision 0 for anti-barrier. I did want to run Arbalest, but because I'm running Truth Teller in my energy, I didn't want to run Double Special. And then I ran Roar of the Bear. It is a solar rocket launcher, and this is a solar burn strike, so it plays in very well. For mods, I ran Reaping Wellmaker, Seeking Wells, Font of Wisdom, Well of Tenacity, all to feed back into my build and what I had going on. And then I also ran Lord Kelvin's Basilisk, just so this way my grenades could then stun Overload champions, as there are all 3 champions in this particular strike. My first teammate was a Thunder Crash Titan with Heart of Inmost Light. Thunder Crash is very good, deals out a bunch of damage when you need it to, and of course Heart of Inmost Light makes those storm grenades very good. For weapons, he ran Ignition Code to deal with unstoppable champions, the trusty Scout Rifle from the Deepstone Crypt to deal with the Overload champions, and he ran Gallahorn to boost the damage of my rocket launcher and my other friendly's rocket launcher, as this is what we ran for DPS, and it worked out very well. For mods, he ran Low Entropy Conductor just to have that extra thing to stun unstoppable champions, Lucent Finisher to make ammo for our rocket launchers so we can just throw rockets at whatever we need to throw them at, and Weaken Clear, as again he was running a grenade launcher helping to spread that weaken to targets that we need to deal with very quickly. My final teammate ran Blade Barrage with Star Eater Scales. This is a great combo, especially for DPS, and that's exactly what you need when it comes down to the final boss, is a ton of DPS. For weapons, he ran Submission SMG from Vow the Disciple for Overload champions, Tiku's Divination, the solar bow that you can get from the Lost Kiosk, whatever it's called in the tower. Great for dealing with barrier champions and worked very well with his build. And like I mentioned a second ago, he was also running Roar of the Bear as a solar rocket launcher to deal more damage, also getting boosted by Gallahorn. For mods, he ran Melee Wellmaker, Explosive Wellmaker, Font of Wisdom, and Seeking Wells, all to just play back into whatever build he was trying to go with, and then Lucent Finisher on top of that to also help make ammo when we needed it. Almost always had rockets, which was really good for this particular strike. So with the builds gone over, let's now begin the guide portion of this video. So when the strike begins, you're going to load in and walk through these random maintenance tunnel hallway things. There's just a bunch of random Vex here, and if you get stuck here, you should probably go back to orbit and reevaluate your loadouts and whatever else you need to reevaluate. Once you get past this part, though, you'll actually begin the strike itself, which will just be a big open room with a bunch of, I think it's like Vex and Scions and just a bunch of random adds. There's one Overload champion here. Defeat them, get the door to open, walk through the door, defeat the one lone Vex that's just watching this train platform, start the trains, and move down the tracks. Now, while moving down the tracks, you obviously have to avoid these big trains that are just barreling down at you, while also avoiding the goblins that are trying to snipe you from the sides and the 3 at the end. You're going to drop down, go to the next track, do the same thing here, move forward into this next area, which will include a Hydra, a bunch of Vex, and an unstoppable champion. Obviously, deal with them as you need to deal with them. Push forward. In the next little area of train tracks, there's going to be an anti-barrier hobgoblin, I believe he is, right there in the center. Take care of him. Finish him for ammo if you need to. He's singled out, very easy to deal with. Now, the best way to deal with the train tracks in this situation is to jump up on the rails that are above you, because then obviously nothing can hit you and you can skip over the adds in the middle. They're just a bunch of Vex. Ignore them. When you get to the end of this particular piece of train tracks, there's another unstoppable champion with a bunch of Vex, and a little further down that way there's a barrier champion. Again, these are very easy ones to finish. They are very singled out. I highly recommend finishing them if you get the chance. Then you're going to move up to the Vex cell block, where there's just a bunch of Vex you have to defeat. There are 2 barrier champions here, and I'm going to say right now, I feel like every time one of their barriers would come up, one of the trains would come by and just completely nullify all the work you had just done. Another thing here that I highly recommend that completely I completely spaced it on when running the strike, is team shot the champions with your teammates because it makes life a lot easier, especially with these two barrier champions. I highly recommend taking care of the one on the top right, just hanging out on that platform, and then you can cycle back down and deal with the one that's just hanging out on the random train platform. Once they're taken care of, that is all the champions in this area. Defeat a few more waves of Vex, and then you're going to fight the big Vex boss. Now, if you have supers here, just throw them. I had my tether, threw it, and then we just took care of it very easily. Scrounge around for whatever ammo might be on the ground. Take the lift up to the next section. In this section, there's going to be a bunch of Cabal. There are 2 unstoppable Cabal champions here. Take care of them while also avoiding or dealing with whatever adds that you may be here to deal with. And then you can move up to the Prison of the Elders arena, where there are a ton of champions that you're going to be immediately met with. There's an Overload champion, 3 barrier champions, and an unstoppable champion. Pick them off and finish them as need be, while at the same time running around and shooting the fallen mines that are on the ground, as later these are going to be a pain when you're going to deactivate the mines that are going to pop up once you defeat all these champions. Once these champions are defeated though, it will start the next round. A Scorch Cannon is going to spawn at the end. Do not touch that yet. That's going to be very helpful in just a minute. When you stand on this first bomb, a barrier champion is going to spawn in one of the back doors. I believe if you're looking towards the door you have to leave through, it is going to be on your right hand side. He's going to then come out. Team shot him, and an unstoppable champion is also going to come out just a little further back down that hallway. Take them out too. You have plenty of time here to deal with them, as these bombs do count pretty slow and the timer does stop when you step on them, so deal with them. And 2 more bombs are going to spawn, one on the left and one on the right. Send one person off to the left or one person off to the right, however you want to delegate that, as it's going to be easier. If you go to the right side bomb, which is where I normally go, there's going to be a bunch of Vex, a void shielded Minotaur. Take care of them, and I believe there is an Overload that spawns around here too. You don't have to kill him, but make sure you tag him, so this way when the Cabal boss spawns, he will count for points for you. Or you can just defeat him if you want to just be extra safe and make sure that he counts. Once both of those bombs have been defused, there's going to be a Cabal boss that spawns in the center, like I just said. This is where the Scorch Cannon comes in handy, because the Scorch Cannon does solar damage, and you can deal extra damage to him without having to put your own heavy to use here. So defeat the boss and the Cabal, and the door is going to open up, and you're then going to go into the treasure room. Now, I don't know if it's still a bug, but when you drop down to the boss arena after you open the chest and you get the Drifter's line about the Trickster, and you drop down, there used to be a thing where you could kill each other down there. Like, well, your teammate above you just picks up to mock Jesus and just demolishes you. I don't know if that's still a bug or not, but either way, it's always nice to have someone wait outside of the bubble just in case. Someone needs to be respawned, and then once everybody's down there, you have 4 more champions to deal with. 2 barrier champions, an Overload, and an Unstoppable. I highly recommend dealing with the Unstoppable and the Overload champion first before you jump down, as the barrier champions are really just going to pepper each other, get each other's barriers to pop, and then you can deal with them separately. These 2 barrier champions are prime finishing targets for the last little bit of ammo you're going to need. Once these 2 barrier champions have been dealt with, the boss is going to spawn, and this is where it's a make or break, because while this boss room is very easy to navigate, at the same time it's also just way easier to just nuke him. I popped Tether for the debuff, my friendlies popped their Blade Barrage and their Thunder Crash, which took him down to pretty much nothing, and then we just fired a few rockets at him. He was defeated, and then all that glorious loot falls on the right hand side of your screen, and you have then completed Warden of Nothing. And if this is your first time ever running Grandmasters, for your Conqueror seal, this right here, this is your Conqueror title, so enjoy. Like I said at the beginning of the video, this is the last week before Lightfall, and I also think I mentioned it, this is the last video I'll be posting until Lightfall. The next video I post after Lightfall will probably be that Friday or Saturday. It'll be a Hunter Strand build, because again, I am a Hunter main at my heart. No matter what anybody else says, I am a Hunter main through and through. So I'm going to play through the Legendary campaign on my Hunter, really get to know that Strand subclass, and then through the weekend and a little bit into the next week, I'll play the other 2 through the campaign, and then of course I will get their Strand builds done also before the raid drops. Whenever, I can't remember when the raid drops, but I will get the Strand builds for those 2 classes done before that raid drops, and everybody will have access to hopefully a pretty decent set of strand builds to just start playing around with and have a lot of fun with. So this is the end of the video, and I'd like to take the time to thank everyone who has supported me so far. I don't plan on slowing down, and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. So again, I appreciate everybody who has been here with me, whether it be recently or from the start. And please let me know what you're most excited for when Lightfall comes out. Let me know down in the comments. Give me a little interactions going on down there, and I will answer and reply to them as best as I can. So with that, check out the links in the description, and I hope everybody has a good week.